I said it from the start, and I'll say it again this week, nameless, faceless opponent. It's really about us. It was about our execution. It's about cherishing football and offense, running the football, being efficient, defensively tackling, and getting after people.
Coach Schmitt, the head coach of Archbishop Spalding High School in Maryland, is our Coaching Coordinator podcast, Coach of the Week. Our Coach of the Week is presented by Modern Football Technology. Coach Schmitt is in his 5th year at Spalding and holds a record of 32-4 with back-to-back MIAA state championships in 2022 and 2023. He was named the Baltimore Ravens High School Coach of the Year in 2022. Coach Schmitt joined us this past December in our Champion Series. That is linked in our show notes. He joins us to discuss his team's big win against perennial Ohio powerhouse Archbishop Hoban, a team with 5 state championships and 3 state runner-ups since 2015. Spalding handed them their first Week 1 loss in 7 years. Coach Schmitt highlights the role of team culture, off-season preparation, and logistical organization in their success against Hoban. He shares strategies like their film analysis, the evolution of his coaching style, and the role of analytics in their game day management. Stay tuned for our Winning Edge takeaway following the interview. Before we get going, I want to introduce a segment we'll have weekly in our Coach of the Week episode. It's called Football Intelligence at the Speed of the Game, presented by Modern Football Technology. In this short segment, we'll hear from coaches on how they use technology effectively in season. Today we're joined by Matt Fox, Director of Technology at Cal, and he shares the Bears' approach to looking at new technology.
When we're looking at new technology to implement in our program, there's a couple things we take a look at. Number one is it viable? Is it going to make our guys more efficient? Is there some excitement with the guys who are going to be using it? Because, I can push a lot of technology, and there's a lot of companies that sound great, and I can push them on our coaches and try to get our coaches to use it. But ultimately, if they don't feel some buy-in, like it's going to help them, then it's going to be really hard for them to implement and change their ways in the future. When we're implementing new technology, if I don't hear any major complaints in the first few days, I know it's probably going to work, because they're mainly going to come to me when something goes wrong. And fortunately, with modern football technology, our guys have been pretty darn self-sufficient at using it. I think it's been really easy for them to adapt to using it. And the number one thing is it's making it faster for them. It's making them more efficient. So they're excited about using it.
Modern Football Technology is ready for you right out of the box. Modern Football Technology is ready for you right out of the box. It's not too late to get going with in-game analytics this season, and it can definitely make an impact for your team right now. The link to Modern Football Technology is in the show notes. Let's get into our interview with Coach Schmitt. All right, coaches, so we have our first Coach of the Week. This year we're going to be naming a Coach of the Week every week at the high school level, and I was really excited for our Coach of the Week here. These guys came to Ohio and played one of the toughest teams here over the last decade and handed them their first Week 1 loss in 7 years. The head coach of Archbishop Spalding High School has been on our Champion Series, been on our podcast before, Coach Schmitt. So, Kyle, first of all, congratulations on a big win.
Oh, thank you, Keith. I really appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be on with you, and thanks for all you do.
Appreciate that. So, when you look at the season, every week is a test. We put things together in the off season. We bring our newest team together, different personnel. Every team has a new dynamic. And so now it's time to test things. So just starting with the big picture things, when you look at your team's culture, what role did it play in preparing for and really executing the way they played to win this big game?
Yeah, I think it starts with our biggest fear was the camp and then the travel up to Ohio. And our kids they're really grateful for every opportunity they get. They were just zeroed in and focused and locked in, whatever you want to say, from the start. And I think that meant so much to our success on Friday. There was no extracurriculars. There was no issues with travel. There was no issues on being on time. There's no issues with missing gear, any of that stuff. The kids just know the expectations. They know the standard that's been set prior. and they were just ready to play. It's about football. You're trying to keep the main thing around here, and not all the other stuff that could happen in a big game of that nature. So our kids were really ready. They had an awesome camp. We practiced hard, and that was another big piece to this. We knew we couldn't go to Ohio playing 7-on-7 for 8 months and think we were just going to go up and beat a team like Hoban. So for us, what we did was we practiced hard. We beat each other up a little bit. We went at it. We did a lot of group run. And I think that really paid off on Friday.
Well, first of all, I mean, an accomplishment in itself to make that long trip and not be missing anything. I mean, I've had teams where we've gotten on the bus and we're, a couple miles away and somebody didn't bring their helmet. Like, what could you possibly be thinking? Right? So, I mean, that taught me about checklists and all those kinds of things early on in my career. But yeah, you mentioned the preparation here and looking at that week of preparation leading up to it. What kinds of things do you think stuck out to you as far as the physical preparation and also that mental readiness for your guys?
The beauty of week 0, I guess you'd call it, is the film that you have from the year previous. Both teams, we traded tapes with Hoban, and you get to really get a look at them. And I think your guys have a real idea of what they're getting themselves into. Week to week, you get that film on Saturday morning, watch it Sunday, and before you know it, it's Wednesday and the game's being played. But I think our kids had an idea of what they were getting themselves into real early in the offseason, seeing some Hoban tape, knowing their reputation as a program. So that was big. And then ultimately, we just prepared like we did. It was, I said it from the start, and I'll say it again this week, nameless, faceless opponent. It's really about us. It was about our executions, about cherishing the football on offense, running the football, being efficient, defensively tackling, and getting after people. And we were able to do that. So sorry, I'm at a JV game.
No, it's cool.
You can't beat that, right? Real life football.
That's right.
Screen pass for a touchdown by the Spalding Cavaliers JV right in front of me. But that's really what it was for us. It was the idea of just, it's about us, and it will be again this week.
When we talked in the offseason, you had a focus on the game management side of things. That has really become a big part of what you do as a head coach. You really got heavily involved in special teams, and then you looked at the game management side of that, and that's what we talked about. I think it was back in December. Looking at some of the things you're doing as a head coach, I mean, how much of that really became important in a big game like this?
Yeah, it was massive. I think it's huge. I think it's been some of the difference in our success in these games in the last 3 to 4 years compared to prior. Yes, a couple of things that occurred. We blocked a punt in the third quarter. We, tackled a kickoff inside the 15, which was huge. We actually won field position. I just did it yesterday morning. Our average starting position was the 36, and theirs was the 15. So a plus 21, on field position, which was massive. And then actually, something I think we did a really good job of, and our kids understood, was our ability to possess the football when we have the lead. We went up 28-7 on Hoban in the second quarter, and they punted the ball away to us, down 21-7. We got the ball back, scored before the half, and Hoban actually only got 2 more possessions in the second half. So we controlled the football. Our consume the clock offense ate about the last 6 up at the end of the game. So all those things, just our focus on doing that program-wide, quarterback, offensive coordinator, that was massive for us, and it really helped, and it's going to be big for us to continue on the season.
Yeah, you mentioned that was something, just your self-reflection during the pandemic, something you felt you really needed to change, and took a long, hard look at your role in, for you, it was, not being able to get over the hump of winning a state championship, and you've done that twice now. Obviously, a big week 1 win here. Going back to that, I guess, that the advice for coaches, I do see more and more head coaches now turning over the reins, maybe a play calling on both sides of the ball. But I think really, what should you focus on? What's your recommendation for, the head coaches maybe who are not calling plays anymore?
Right. Well, I know this could be a short segment, but I could turn it into a long run real fast. But honestly, too many of us, I think we're so dialed in on just trying to get first downs and touchdowns and X's and O's, which is a massive part of the game, and you have to be really efficient there. But I've found more of my time, being spent on the culture and the mindset of the players, more of my time managing the game the correct way, 4th down decisions, red zone decisions, punt decisions, special team decisions, on and on, clock decisions, which are so important. And it's really just as you put your focus on that, the rest takes care of itself. The X's and O's have to still be great, but you have to be able to delegate some. It doesn't mean that you subcontract it and just give it to somebody and never have your hands on it, but you oversee it and you allow the other coaches to really dive into their role. And then I think the biggest thing as a play caller was you lose the head coach on Friday night or Saturday or Sunday when he's solely the play caller. I think that play sheet becomes what we stare at instead of what the action on the field is. So it's worked for me. It doesn't mean it's for everyone. There's guys at the highest levels doing it, but they have massive franchises, with guys being paid a lot of money to help make those analytics decisions. For us at our level, we're still coaching 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds, and I think being in their corner and not just staring at that play sheet the whole game goes a long way. So, again, it's worked for me. I know it's not for everybody. I know guys love calling plays. I did too. But, I still got some suggestions every once in a while. Don't get me wrong. But it's been what's best for Spalding right now, and that doesn't mean it's right for everybody. But for our program, it's worked really well.
Yeah, you mentioned the analytics there too, and I know that's something you really have started to dig into here. And since we talked in December, I'm sure there's been things you've learned along the way, but looking at the analytics side of things and, another big game coming up for you this week, how much are you as the head coach, I guess, staying in tune with those in order to manage that overall picture of what's happening in the game?
All right. Well, I think as a head coach, you got to know who you're playing against and what they do. Are they a team that is going to play at a fast tempo or a slow tempo? Are they a team that's going to try to limit that thing to 7 possessions in a game? Or are they going to try to get it at 12 or 13 possessions? How do they handle fourth down decisions? Are they a team that's going to go for it, anything over midfield or not? So I think getting a read on your opponent and dictating a little bit about how you go into the game is really important. And that's been something with some of the TV copies too these days, Keith, of games. You can see the clock. You can see how guys manage the clock at the end of a half or the end of a game and really where their heads are at. And sometimes you get an idea of how good they are at it or bad at it. When you're watching, you see somebody blow 3 second-half timeouts on offense. It sometimes is an indicator that maybe game management isn't as good as it should be. Or then you play some guys, and we have some in our league that are masters of it that frankly taught me some lessons through the years. And man, I got to be all over it this game, just to hang. So, analytics are huge. They're part of our sport. They're a part. They're not the sport, but they don't dictate every decision. I punted 2 the other night that I think the book probably said go for it, but I just felt like they couldn't move the ball 90 yards on our defense. So I was going to pin them back and really play some complimentary football.
Yeah, you always have to have that gut feeling for what's happening. You brought up the TV copy, in most schools, in some way they stream their game or their opponent's streaming it. So you do have the opportunity to see those. And, probably, we didn't have that opportunity pre-pandemic. I think that's something we learned from the pandemic. But, you would never have thought of watching the TV copy, but with tempo and procedures becoming such a big part of the game and seeing how people play. I know that's huge, not just now at the high school level. I mean, every level does it. I saw somebody on X the other day talking about what they do when they're watching the TV copy and the things they're looking for and listening for and even charting.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Stealing signals. No, I'm kidding. You don't want to do that on TV copy. I don't suggest that, but it is an idea of just seeing the flow of the game. You can't always get that on the All-22. That's the one thing I always miss. The All-22, the flow of the game. And even, we don't get clock on ours. I know the college tape does. We don't get the scoreboard shot in between. So the TV copy has been a really cool tool to use for me. And it just allows me to get a little more of an idea of what people do and how they play situationally that maybe you don't always see on the All-22.
Well, Coach, again, congratulations on the big win, on being our very first Coach of the Week on Coach and Coordinator Podcast, and best of luck to you and the Cavaliers this week and the rest of the way.
Keith, I appreciate it, man. Hey, and the biggest thing, we got deep into the analytics and talk about some of the situational stuff, but our kids just blocked and tackled better than Hoban on Friday, and that was the key, man. They played their butts off, and I'm proud of. We won the line of scrimmage, so we've got another test this week, but thanks for all you do, Keith. It's a pleasure to be on, man, and let me know what you need. I'll be there. I'd love to come back on again.
Absolutely. Here is our winning edge takeaway from our conversation with Coach Schmitt. A valuable takeaway from his approach to game day management is delegating responsibility while maintaining clear communication. A head coach can focus on the bigger picture, such as game strategy and player execution that's happening out on the field, by empowering assistant coaches and team leaders with specific roles and trusting them to execute their jobs. The delegation should be paired with regular open communication to ensure alignment with the team's vision and address any particular issues that might come up. This delegation helps create a collaborative environment where everyone feels accountable and motivated to contribute to the team's success. Be sure to check out our partner, Modern Football Technology. They have an out-of-the-box solution that you can get going with right now, even if you're in season. It's simple to use, but provides you with incredible actionable data and insight during a game so that you're always making the best decision for your team. The link to Modern Football Technology is in the description. Follow all we're doing at coachandcoordinator.com and follow us on X at Coach K. Grabowski.